Welcome to News on the Twos. I'm Rachel Morse.
And I'm Haley Holloway. Here on News on the Twos, we bring you up to speed on local, regional, and national news. This OCU Newscast provides the information you want to hear first from students at your very own university.
Oklahoma City University's police department now is in the process of correcting what appears to be a federal law violation. The law is called the Clery Act. It was created to help protect students by requiring universities to report information about crimes on and around their campuses. One of the requirements is to report each crime within 48 hours. The law was named after Jean Cleary, who was raped and murdered in her dorm room in Pennsylvania in 1986. Her parents and federal lawmakers thought she could have been protected if she had known about other crimes in her building. The Clery Act applies to all universities receiving federal funding and is strictly enforced by the Department of Education.
Since OCU receives federal funding, they should be compliant with the Clery Act, but that was not at all the case when we started asking for information about campus crimes 2 weeks ago.
Two News on the Twos reporters went to OCU's police department on April 11th to see the most recent crime log. We knew OCU PD was keeping the records because they send most crime reports to student media. However, we were told that the police department did not have them on hand because they were training someone new. Instead, we were referred to OCU's website. When we went to the site, we found that the logs were last updated in January, meaning the OCU PD had not been compliant with the Clery Act for over 2 months.
They should be keeping some kind of log. That's a basic requirement, and this is not a new law, this is not a new requirement. And doesn't matter if they're training new people, somebody there has to be responsible for making sure that's done. That's just it's not an option.
When we realized OCU's crime logs weren't up to date, we started making calls to the police department, which were not returned. Instead, the university's attorney and Dr. Rick Hall, Vice President of Student Affairs, who was responsible for the police department, referred us to Public Relations, who said the school didn't do anything wrong.
Due to a software glitch, so when it became 2013, the software was set up to pull from 2012 and not 2013.
There really isn't any room for excuses on this stuff, partially because a lot of it isn't really complicated, that there isn't any requirement that you use technology, so a technical glitch shouldn't stop you from maintaining a log elsewhere.
The university released a statement on April 19th that said the OCU Police Department releases crime stats via email on a regular basis to a broad list of campus recipients, including Media OCU. Media OCU did post OCU crime logs and police reports to the university's website throughout February, March, and the 1st of April. But Goldstein says that is the responsibility of the university police department, not student media.
You can't avoid violating the Clery Act by showing all the things you did to publish crimes that aren't complying with the Clery Act. It's like, you can do lots of great things, but if you don't do these things, you're still in violation. That's not the obligation. So, I mean, I'm glad that they're not doing nothing, but they have to do what the statute requires, not what they feel like.
Haley Holloway, News on the Twos.
While we were trying to get in contact with university officials for this story, we noticed that the online police blotter was being updated. As of press time, February, March, and most of April are now available on the OCU PD website.
And while News on the Twos reporters were looking into crime statistics issues, we asked for copies of the last 7 years of crime logs from OCU. According to attorney Adam Goldstein from the Student Press Law Center, the U.S. Code of Federal Regulations requires the university to keep 7 years' worth of crime data, and Clery compliance means that data must be made available within 2 business days. In a written response from the university, News on the Twos was told OCU is actually not required to make those logs available, but that they would give them to us voluntarily within 30 days.
The person who wrote this letter has no idea what the college's Clery requirements actually are, and is not involved in complying with those requirements. Basically, this letter's like a confession. It's a confession along with an acknowledgement that they intend to break the law in the future by not complying within the 2 days.
The university statement says officials and police are committed to the ongoing safety and security of the students.
Strict compliance with the Clery Act is enforced by the Department of Education. If the DOE questions a university's compliance, it can trigger an audit. The auditing process can take up to 2 years, and each violation can result in a fine of as much as $35,000 or loss of federal funding. Though OCU claims it hasn't committed any violations, experts aren't so sure.
I think it's pretty serious. I mean, these are the fundamental obligations of the Clery Act. There are ways to violate the Clery Act that are more nuanced, that are innocent. This is not one of them.
For more information on the Clery Act, or if you would like to see any of the documents related to this News on the Twos investigation for yourself, you can log on to MediaOCU.com.
An Oklahoma legislator is under fire for an anti-Semitic comment he made last week. Co-majority leader Dennis Johnson, a Republican from Duncan, Oklahoma, was talking about the benefits of small businesses when he used the phrase, "Jew me down," an offensive term that means haggling. A few seconds later, Johnson apologized to the Jews and added, "They're good small businessmen too."
People come back to you. They like what you do, they like the service they get, and they don't ask me. They might try to Jew me down on a price. That's fine. I apologize to the Jews. They're good small businessmen as well.
In a less humorous apology to the Oklahoman, Johnson said the comment wasn't intentional and is something he plans to never say again.
OSU's Oklahoma City campus reopened yesterday after Tuesday's bomb scare. Oklahoma City police evacuated all buildings after a suspect called in a threat saying a bomb would explode. All night classes were canceled that evening and entrances blocked off while the university security and OKCPD did a thorough search of the campus. No bomb was found and the university reopened at 7 a.m. Wednesday morning.
Ever since the Boston Marathon bombings that rocked the nation 2 weeks ago, people all around the nation have been finding ways to show their support for the city. Whether it was wearing a Red Sox t-shirt for Wear Boston Day or lacing up sneakers for the event Wear Running Shoes, thousands joined in the trends, spread primarily through social media, to show that their thoughts were with the city of Boston.
We have to take a quick break, but coming up, why the head coach who has led OCU to 4 women's wrestling national titles has been put on leave by the university. We'll be right back.
I was looking for a way to help out with my community while also getting close with my gal pals.
I've been looking for an addition in my life that can make things more lively. I wanted a companion to curl up with at night.
That's why we adopted these guys.
Research shows that women love cute little things. So what's wrong with you? Get a guy who's guaranteed to stay.
Starcy's a great mascot. He's very enthusiastic. Sometimes his animal instinct takes over, though.
Meet Sarah Jane. She got her vision checked at school by Prevent Blindness Oklahoma. Prevent Blindness Oklahoma provides free vision screenings to children in all 77 counties in the state. Without this free screening, Sarah Jane's parents wouldn't know about her congenital cataracts. Because of Prevent Blindness Oklahoma and their screening, Sarah Jane will be seeing clear for years to come. Preserving sight, preventing blindness, making every child's vision count.
There are plenty of teams in every sport that have great players and never win titles. Most of the time, those players aren't willing to sacrifice for the greater good of the team. One thing I believe to the fullest is that if you think and achieve as a team, the individual accolades will take care of themselves. Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships.
OCU is that open shot to a winning goal.
Countless rehearsals for one flawless routine.
Learning to serve before trying to lead.
Learning a language everyone can understand. OCU is
me.
Me.
Me?
I'm OCU.
I don't work a 9 to 5, but I have a job to do. I don't wear a tie, but I still wear a suit in my court.
My field of work isn't average, and my time around the water cooler is limited.
I work overtime, but the payoff is worth it.
I don't work a 9 to 5, but I have a job to do. I'm an OCU athlete.
I'm an OCU athlete.
I'm an OCU athlete.
I'm an OCU athlete.
Welcome back. OCU's head wrestling coach, Archie Randall, has just been placed on administrative leave. The university's communications director says it's a personnel issue, and the school is doing an internal investigation. 3 members of the wrestling team who asked to remain anonymous told News on the Twos that the issue is about verbal abuse. Dean of Students Liz Donnelly refused to comment on the matter. Randall and the athletic director, Jim Abbott, were unavailable for comment.
OCU softball has hit yet another mid-season speed bump in the road to nationals. News on the Two's Megan Delatorre tells us why head coach Phil McSpadden may not be able to travel with the team until next season.
The National Championship softball team has temporarily lost a vital part of their team. Head coach Phil McSpadden has been suspended for the remainder of this season. A recently implemented rule from NAIA says that a coach will be indefinitely suspended after the 3rd ejection from an NAIA-sanctioned game.
There's an appeal going on right now with NEI, but I don't believe for a second, I wouldn't bet $1 that it would go through. We've appealed too many things through the years before.
McSpadden's 3rd and final ejection of the season happened at the Lubbock Christian games on April 13th. The coach was arguing with the home plate umpire about a controversial call when he let his temper get the best of him.
Sometimes coaches get ejected on purpose, and that was only one of the 3 that I took the ejection thinking that might help us as a ball club.
Lockers such as this one belong to seniors like Leanne Lopez, who are visibly disappointed by the suspension of Coach Phil McSpadden.
So it's kind of shocking and then, bummed out just because we don't have our coach anywhere whose intensity throughout the game also helps us keep our intensity up and things like that.
But I'm embarrassed that I've created an embarrassment for the university and myself.
McSpadden has also been the bus driver for the team for the last 28 years, and it's unclear yet whether he will even be allowed to do that while he's suspended. Megan Delatorre, News on the Twos.
And Megan, who is on the softball team herself, says the team will try to adjust to the changes before SAC conference tournament. If the Stars make it through, they'll travel to Georgia for NAIA Nationals at the end of May.
Well, the weather this week was true to form for Oklahoma. After a warm, sunny afternoon, Monday night's surprise hailstorm caught many people off guard. The powerful thunderstorm, complete with golf ball-sized hail, brought in a cold front that felt more like winter weather than weather for late April. Temperatures are expected to rise over the weekend, with a potential for rain sometime tomorrow. But while recent rainfall has brought relief in many parts of the state, there are still parts of Oklahoma that are experiencing extreme to exceptional drought conditions, where communities rely on what water they have and faith that they will make it through.
If you was raised out on a farm, it's just relaxing. You're around the animals and you sort of get to be their friends.
Neil Beisel farms wheat and cattle in Okeen, Oklahoma, just like his father and his grandfather before him. He says it's just in his blood.
I got my hired hand here doing all the work.
As a farmer, Beisel knows you can't just rely on good land and hard work.
City people don't understand what it takes to farm. You got to have a lot of faith and hope it rains.
But with one of the worst droughts the state's seen in 40 years, even hope can dry up. But Beisel said he's fared better than many others.
If I don't have a crop, I farm 640 acres. I work outside the house. She's a school teacher. We're not going to starve. But a lot of people aren't that fortunate.
So you hope it rains and it gets better next year.
Like Doug Barnes, who's waiting for rain to refill the ponds he uses to irrigate his wheat and cotton.
Well, you have to be a gambler to be a farmer because it's year to year. We work for Mother Nature.
Both Barnes and Beisel know nature doesn't always act according to plan. But just 2 hours east in Oklahoma City, their plan had run dry. The city's current dilemma: how to maintain the dwindling water supply for over 1 million consumers. Their solution? To pump more than 9 billion gallons from Canton Lake. That's enough water to fill the Empire State Building 35 times.
We know that our release lowered their lake levels quite a bit, and that's unfortunate. We truly do regret that.
While Canton Lake is primarily used as a reservoir for Oklahoma City, it also provides water to people around Canton. But even with a recent snowfall, the lake levels are staggering. You can see what was once a boat ramp is nowhere near the current water line. Beisel said he grew up swimming and fishing in Canton Lake, and in 50 years, he has never seen it this low.
If it doesn't rain and Oklahoma City needs water out of Canton Lake again, what are they going to do?
Clay Pope, executive director of the Oklahoma Association of Conservation Districts, said it's time for officials to crack down on conservation.
The time to plan for facing a crisis is before it hits you in the face. With the last tug of water that Oklahoma City took out of Canton Lake, they really drained their bank account.
Reagan said the city is aware of this, and not only have officials implemented an odd-even watering program, she said they plan on conserving the remaining water in Canton Lake.
We're going to turn to water conservation, whether we have it into the drought or not. It just kind of opened our eyes to what we take for granted.
And what some have taken for granted, Beisel and other farmers see daily as an answer to prayer.
If you didn't have faith, you couldn't do it.
Many parts of Oklahoma are now in moderate to extreme drought conditions, according to the U.S. Drought Monitor. But national climate predictions show slight improvement in western Oklahoma and the likelihood of more relief in central parts of the state.
OCU's Facilities Department is continuing to make necessary repairs on campus to conserve as much energy as possible and save the school some cash. The university capital renewal projects that are currently underway include sprucing up the Gold Star building and improving thermal energy storage around campus, which will help with the cooling efficiency in the hot summer months. Facilities also plan on upgrading heating and plumbing in Banning Hall. The project previously added windscreens to Methodist Hall to help keep pipes from freezing in the winter. Capital renewal projects will continue next fall, but as of now, they need to be fully funded before continuing work on the Gold Star building.
When we come back, we have the latest update on how OCU is rearranging to overcome last year's overcrowding at this year's graduation.
Some people don't think it's easy to be green. Audrey does it every day. Turn off appliances when they're not being used. Shut off the lights when you leave a room. Always recycle paper. Recycle plastic, too. Today, Audrey did her part in helping OCU conserve. It's that easy. Have you done the same? Visit okcu.edu/bluegoesgreen for more information.
I walk by you every day, but you don't know my story. I'm one of the thousands whose life is no longer their own, whose value is defined by a $sign. And if I was walking right next to you, would you care?
OCU is family. OCU is diverse.
OCU is passionate. OCU is active.
OCU is visionary.
OCU is creative. OCU is tradition. OCU is my school.
My school.
My school. OCU is my school.
Is my school.
OCU is my school.
You are watching OCU TV.
At first it was twice a week. Everybody else was doing it. Then one day I just did it all by myself. Now I can't stop.
It makes me feel powerful, you know? Like I can do anything.
It's the ultimate rush.
And every time feels like the first time.
Yeah, it does. You're not alone. It's okay. We've all been there.
My name is Brandon, and I'm hooked on service leadership.
There you go.
Take the steps to living a better life by volunteering today.
Feels so good to finally say it. I love helping other people.
Get motivated, get involved, get hooked on service leadership.
You're watching OCU TV.
Well, it's news on the twos for your viewing pleasure. Sports, reports, and even the weather. News you want to hear, so lend an ear. These great reporters make the story clear. If you're a star or just love OCU, then Channel 22 is meant for you. Cause our school is great, it's plain to see. So tune in to OCU TV. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Cause news on the twos is the way to go. Well, that's all from me, and I'll take a bow. Cause news on the twos starts right now.
You're watching OCU TV.
OCU is doing its best to get ready for this year's graduation ceremony after having some overcrowding issues last year. News on the Twos' Megan McMahon tells us what changes are being made to make some extra room.
Graduating students are skeptical about what will be done at this year's graduation to provide enough room for whoever comes to support them. Last year, some students were disappointed when their parents, family, and friends were escorted out of the Freedy Center due to limited space and taken to a different building to watch the ceremony.
Yeah, once all these seats were filled up, we had to start sending people to Minders, and they had to watch the graduation on the projector in the Kirkpatrick Auditorium.
Parents were furious about the lack of preparation and space, but administrators assure students that this year will be different. Dorothy Tenery, who is in charge of graduation, says the carrying capacity will hold almost twice as many people as last year.
Well, we will have Freedy, the arena configured differently. We will have both sets of the bleachers out, and the stage will be at the south end. The floor will be covered with chairs for the graduates and faculty, and the audience will sit in the bleachers.
Blue Tie Ambassador Samer Abdelkader shows us what new seating will be available in Freedy for this year's ceremony.
Okay, well, last year we only used one set of bleachers, and this year we're actually going to use both sets on both sides.
Seniors are especially glad to hear that their loved ones will be able to watch them walk across the stage in person and not from a screen.
I think that's a really good idea. I know some of the past few years I've gone to graduation, it's been pretty crowded and tight in there. And I know like my parents are traveling from out of state to come see me, so it'll be nice to know there will be some room, and so they'll most likely get a seat.
Last year, this is where the stage was for graduation. But this year, it's being moved to the south side of the gym, and these bleachers will open up for seating.
Henry also said live streaming will be available again this year for those who would like to watch it online. Megan McMahon, News on the Twos.
Graduation will take place Saturday, May 11th, and services for undergrads are at 11. The graduate ceremony is at 3 p.m.
The OCU Wind Philharmonic is hosting its 12th annual concert and instrumental petting zoo on April 30th at 8 p.m. The Philharmonic is expecting to perform for 900 school children who will get the chance to test out the instruments. Those attending the concert are asked to bring canned and dried goods to donate to the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma. The concert is free and will be in the Petrie Recital Hall. Now, seeing that Oklahoma City University is known as a pageant school, once again, we are sending 5 girls to Miss Oklahoma this year. News on the Two's Emily Owsley tells us which girls are vying for the crown.
This year, Oklahoma City University is sending 5 girls to Miss Oklahoma. Ever since last July, these girls have been working hard to win a local title and have the opportunity to go to Miss Oklahoma. The Miss Oklahoma pageant gives these girls opportunities not only to better their speaking skills, but they also learn life lessons and can win scholarships to pay for college. This is Kelsey Griswold's first time to compete in the Miss competition. Several years ago, she placed first runner-up in the Miss Oklahoma's Outstanding Teen pageant. We asked her what she was most looking forward to the week of Miss Oklahoma.
Throughout this process and trying to prepare for Miss Oklahoma, I realized that my passions, lie in what's happening around in our world and around our society. And so I can't wait to go into interview and really talk to those judges about what I'm passionate about and what change I want to make if I were to be chosen as the next Miss Oklahoma.
These contestants go through extensive training to prepare for the pageant, from talent rehearsal to intense workouts for the swimsuit competition to keeping up with current events. Preparing becomes a full-time job for these girls.
It's a new transition, very scary, but just watching what I eat, working out, working on interview, walking, all that pageantry, but it's really fun. I'm excited.
Competing from OCU is Sarah White, Miss OCU, Marianne Dutcher, Miss Keystone Lake, Victoria Renard, Miss Brookside, April Nelson, Miss Eastern Oklahoma County, and Kelsey Griswold, Miss Bricktown OKC.
The 5 girls are headed to Miss Oklahoma this June in hopes to bring home the Miss Oklahoma crown. From there, they head to Miss America. If they were to win there, that would be the 4th Miss America from OCU and the 7th from Oklahoma.
All 5 of these girls are gearing up for the big competition, and we can't wait to see how they do. Emily Owsley, News on the Twos.
The Miss Oklahoma pageant will take place at the Maybe Center in Tulsa on June 9th and at 7:30 p.m. To purchase tickets, visit maybecenter.com.
Stephen Sondheim's musical Into the Woods is opening this weekend at Oklahoma City University. The musical is a mixture of several different stories, including Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood, and Prince Charming, who are all making their debut in the show. The show will run from April 26th through April 28th, and tickets are available at okcu.edu/tickets.
Insecure about your dance moves? OCU has just the thing for you. We sent News on the Two's Megan Delatorre to check out Salsa Nights. Tomer Boutnaru, originally from Israel, decided to bring part of his culture to OCU. Boutnaru says he has been dancing for several years now. He started dance lessons to help other students find a way to channel their stress. Students who go to the lessons say they really enjoy the chance to let down their hair.
It's a lot of fun. I've always wanted to learn how to dance, and so it seemed like a good option.
1, 2.
Cuba Salsa dance lessons are given every Wednesday night from 8 to 10. The location may change, so check the OCU Facebook page for updates. Now, that's it for this segment of News on the Twos. This is our last show of the semester.
News on the Twos would like to thank our hardworking crew members, volunteers, faculty, and especially our News on the Twos advisor, Wendy Brunner.
News on the Twos will be back in the fall. Thanks for watching.